are back on the CJ project today. So we're going to start off by finishing our frame rails, and we'll cut some slider bars and maybe a couple more cross members for the front and the back. And then once we get everything cut, we may have to make some fixtures off the table so that we can hold everything in place. I also did a little bit of cutting so that we can salvage some of the body work that we might use. This is the cowl of our Jeep tub. I got it laying on its side, but we're gonna end up cutting the floor out, and it's basically just gonna be the shell of the Jeep windshield frame and cowl. Also did a lot of work on the grill, skeletonized the whole thing and took out all the extra metal just to make it as thin as possible for when we mount it on the buggy, just so that I have enough space for coolers and radiators to fit right behind the grill. I think it's going to get pretty tight in the front, but maybe I can package everything in a way that I won't have to do a bunch of weird plumbing or electrical work to make everything fit. I'm going to start off by cutting some tubes, and then when I get back, we might do some bending, but I'm by myself today, so it may be difficult. I might not get very much done, but we'll see how it goes.
You're not squared up. Do it here. Do it here.
I think that'll work.
I ain't never gonna make it.
Oh, I did get it.
Gotta grind spurs off. What's gap you need on that?
Basically what it look like right there. How straight are they with the world? Alrighty, so we had to cut the camera there to get these fit up, but got our front frame rails fit to the back ones. Just got them sleeved together in the center, and then they'll be rosette welded front and back. They're a mirror image of the back frame rails, except they lean in a couple inches just to give us, just so they're not as wide up here where our grill will set. Our grill will kind of set down in between them, and they won't stick out super far. So they lean in a little bit. It'll make our engine mounts just a little bit shorter, and it'll give us a little bit more clearance for a shock up here in the front corner, wherever it ends up being. But now that we got our frame rails kind of put in there, we're going to turn our attention to some body work. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut out what we don't need of the Jeep tub. I went ahead and already cut it down the center, but we're going to end up cutting the floor and the firewall out. I got a temporary brace put in here just so it doesn't fold up like a potato chip, but we'll cut the firewall out, and then we'll get our cowl section put over our engine to figure out exactly where our sliders need to be in terms of height, because my cowl is going to set how high my hood is. So I need enough clearance to put a hood on and not be into my intake and all that stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit of cutting on this, and then we'll be back when we go to put the sliders on. a lot has happened, but not a lot has changed. In the last clip, you probably saw me finishing up the sliders. I mounted them to the table at the right width. They're just floating in space right now. But most of the work today has been in re-centering the chassis. Once I got the sliders mounted, I realized that our lower skid plate section wasn't quite square, and it was throwing off our space from the sliders to the inner frame rails. So I spent most of the day cutting all the tacks and kind of shifting everything around, but that ended up causing a whole stream of work. So we ended up recentering the skid. Then once we did that, we had to cut the tacks for the front frame rails and recenter them in the front with the cross member. And then we had the same story in the back. Had to cut the tacks in the center, recenter our frame rails for the rear. So made a center mark on the axle. Finally centered up the rear axle. I don't have the pinion angle set just yet, but it is in the center. And as far as I know now, everything should be perfectly true and square within about a 1/16 of an inch. So that's pretty good considering the table is 10 foot long. A 1/16 of an inch over 10 foot is really not that much. So I think now we're going to cut some pieces to attach our sliders to our frame. And then once that's done, we can take our cowl piece and get it setting on our sliders where we want them. We'll probably make some tabs to go ahead and just mount it. But once the cowl is setting up on the front, we can mount our hood, and then we can get on to making some mounts for the grill and our front bumper pieces. We're making good progress. It was just a bit of a setback today. It's kind of a bummer because that was actually a lot of work, but we should be good to go now. So we're gonna cut some pieces for the sliders. And we're gonna mount those on, and we'll just keep going from there. Okay, got some of the slider mounts made. They're just coked on both ends and they'll go straight to the frame. But instead of welding those in, we're gonna take some time to go back and finish weld our rosettes, and we'll weld around where our frames are sleeved together. We'll get those finished welded. We'll put our center gussets back in, and then once everything is all welded, we can put the center gusset for the slider in. So got quite a bit of welding to do. I'll probably catch up some of these other joints too that I know are where I want them finally. So then once the sliders are on, we are going to turn our attention to motor mounts and making a transmission and transfer case mount on the back here. So I would start working on the cowl bars and doing some more of the front tube work, but I have a few new tools on order and they'll be here in 4 or 5 days. So in the meantime, I'm gonna work on some non-essential stuff and just try to stiffen this frame up as much as I can, because I would like to be able to take it off the table as soon as possible. Sliders tacked on. I went ahead and set the body work we're going to use back on it, the cowl and the hood. I'll have to put the grill back in it too, but that's about what we're gonna look like in terms of the body work on it. We'll still have to do a bunch of trimming for a fender bar that'll hoop over, but I need to kind of figure out roughly where my seats need to be, and I still got a lot of cutting to do. I need to bring this whole section down and get it as low to the engine as I can, because I think it'll make it look a little bit better to be really low, kind of keep it real swept back. I think it's gonna be cool. The sliders will sit just like that on the body once it's all mounted up, which I got a lot of body work to do. Lots of dents, and I still gotta cut out a bunch of pinch welds on the inside. Yeah, that kind of works. There it is with the grill sitting in it. All right, so we got the cowl and the hood mounted. We're gonna go ahead and turn our attention to mounting the grill. So like I said, I went ahead and sectioned 4 inches out of the grill so that it would fit between the hood and the frame rails. I still got some welding to do, but we're gonna go ahead and mount the grill in. Just made some simple brackets, bent them up so that they'll fit on each side of the grill. They'll kind of sit like that. We've got to put in the rest of our threaded inserts, and then once we get these mounted to the grill, we will set them over here and we'll just weld them right to the frame rails. So we'll get the rest of this grill finished, and then we'll get on to mounting it. Got some more of that trimmed, got our threaded inserts put in. These work really slick, especially if you have to have some threads on some really thin sheet metal. You just put them on your little tool and it crimps them in on the back there. They work really slick. I try to use those as much as I can. Now we got that done, we'll mount our little mounts up to each side, and then we'll get ready to tack it on. And there's how the grill turned out. Just got 2 bolts holding it in. So all the body work from the original Jeep that we're gonna use is pretty much in. So I think that's where we're gonna end the video today. The next time you see us, we'll be working on the interior and trying to get our seating position lined out. We've got some joints for suspension. We've got some seats. So next time you see it, we'll be getting some good progress done on the interior of this, and maybe we'll have it sitting on some wheels by the end of that video. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.